Hey everybody, welcome back to Grumpy Acres. Well, today we're going to dive into a critical aspect of survival, shelter. Not just any topic of shelter. We're going to talk about shelter within the full spectrum survival, urban and suburban environment. Specifically, we'll cover aspects of shelter focusing on home hardening, renting versus owning, during a crisis, and the ever important choice of whether to stay put or bug out. Before we get going, though, if you're new here, go ahead and make sure to subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss future guides like this one. And if you've seen the Urban Survival FSP guide series, you'll recognize that some of the themes that we cover tonight are building on stuff that we've seen before. So make sure you go to the playlist for these videos and check out the other videos. All right, now let's get started. So we're going to talk about urban preparedness, shelter, full spectrum survival in the city. All right. So when we start talking about shelter, first thing we need to cover is why it's important. Actually, shelter in the FSP framework, why it's important. To start, why does shelter matter so much in full spectrum survival? Well, shelter is one of the foundational aspects of survival. It protects you from the elements, provides safety from threats, and often offers a place to store resources and coordinate your survival strategy. In an urban setting, shelter isn't just roofs and walls. It's a complex environment. You have neighbors, limited spaces, infrastructure risks, and often competing priorities like security, stealth, and access to supplies. All right, so one of the things we're going to do about this, whenever we start talking about shelter in the urban environment, if you're in a crisis in a city or a suburb, chances are that you already own your property. If you're a city dweller, or you own it or you're renting it. So we're not going to go into what to look for in a structure, what to look for, and all that. We're going to go ahead for the purpose of this video to just assume that you already own your property, or you're in a renting situation or something like that. So understanding the survival aspects means looking beyond just where you sleep. It means home hardening to protect the space, knowing the pros and cons of renting versus owning, and making strategic decisions about staying or bugging in when disaster strikes. Next slide. Okay, first topic. You own your home. We want to do stuff before a crisis happens. So we're going to start with home hardening, which is a big topic and a key survival aspect in urban and suburban environments. So what exactly is home hardening? It means reinforcing and modifying your living spaces to make it safer and more secure against outside threats, whether those threats are natural disaster, civil disorder, or even criminal activity. Here are some core steps you can take in an urban or suburban home to make it safer and to harden it. First one, physical security. We can start by reinforcing doors with heavy-duty deadbolts, strike plates, and heavy-duty screws. Replace those little 1-inch screws that you get with the door kit with 3 or 4-inch wood screws. Construction or decking screws will hold it securely, because if somebody goes to kick in a door and it's secured to the frame, they're not kicking just the door, they're kicking the frame as well, which makes it exponentially harder. And then you can consider things like security bars on windows or security film that prevents shattering. The next one, access control. Use smart locks or mechanical locks with a plan for power outages. Secure sliding doors and secondary entrances. And I've got some stuff in the Amazon store that I'm going to pop up here in just a little bit. I'm going to show you what these things look like and give you a basic idea of what they cost. Okay. The next one, perimeter security. Add lighting, motion sensors, and possibly cameras, but keep a balance. You don't want to attract unwanted attention by having too many bits of technology out for people to see. Fourth one, fortify the structural integrity. If you own your home or have permission, reinforce walls and roofs against wind, fire, and even small arms fire, depending on the threat level you face. The thing about the fire, what happened in California and Los Angeles recently, a lot of that happened because those buildings didn't have fire resistant roofs. Here in the Midwest, cedar shake used to be a big siding and roofing material, but they got rid of it because they realized that whenever wildfires happen or a home next door burned down, that they would catch on fire just like that. Fifth one, safe rooms. Designate a secure room inside your home that you and your family can retreat to if there's an intrusion or immediate threat. A lot of people, what they'll do if they're building their home or they're renovating a home, they'll build these safe rooms, and instead of reinforcing all the walls in the entire structure, they'll just do this one room and turn it into a little mini safe. And that's their fallback position. That's where they put their most valuable things, like their family, in times of crisis. And it's a really good way to secure the interior of your house. And finally, number 6, light and noise discipline. Consider noise proofing and light proofing your building. Secure entryways to minimize light and sound leakage that could give away your location. If you don't know this, if you've ever been out in the field, if you're in the military, you've been out camping, you know exactly how far you can see even the smallest light. One of the biggest giveaways when you're out in the field is somebody lighting a cigarette, because you can see a lit match or a cigarette from a mile and a half away very easily. Now, let's remove this and go to the store, Amazon store. Okay, so we're looking at the screen here. On the left, we've got 3M 4mm security film. And basically all this is, it's a film that goes on your window and you can hit it with a bat. It does not make it unbreakable, but it will make it so somebody's got to hit it 5, 10, 15 times before they can get in, versus one time with unsecured glass. Okay, the next one we have here is a door jamb. This is a little plate that you mount on the floor. It's very inobtrusive, and it's got a little angled plate. You can see it right there that fits down in a slot, and it makes it so the door won't open. And then next to that, we've got your stereotypical wooden bar holders. You literally mount these on the inside of the door, and you take a 2x4 and drop it in there, and it makes it very secure. The next one, this is an internal alarm. This is an alarm that you can affix to any door, and when it's set off, it makes a very loud piercing noise, and it's very effective. It's the one I've got on here is actually portable, so you can take it with you and use it in hotel rooms and places like that. But it's just as useful at home. And finally, the last one here. This is just a master lock sliding glass door bar, and you basically you literally shut the door and put this down in the rail at the bottom, and the door won't open unless you break the glass. And quite frankly, if somebody's going to break the glass, they're going to break the glass. The thing to remember about all these security measures is that they are not foolproof. There's literally no security measure you can put on your house that makes your house impenetrable. There's always going to be some vulnerability, and that's why full spectrum survival or full spectrum preparedness is so important, because shelter security directly impacts your ability to hold ground during emergencies. A hardened home is a force multiplier. And if you don't know what a force multiplier is, that means you've got yourself and you add a hardened home. That just makes it exponentially harder for somebody to get to you and what you have. It buys time. It can't talk tonight, guys. Deters opportunists and increases your confidence to focus on other survival tasks. Now, I want to talk for a second about the opportunists aspect of this. You know, I was in security when I was in the Marine Corps. Done a lot of research on it, know a little bit about it from a practical standpoint. And about 80 to 90% of all crime is opportunistic. And that means that somebody sees an opportunity and they take it. They see an unlocked door. They see an unsecured window. They see a rolled down window on a car. They see keys in a car. The people are very opportunistic. They're lazy and they will go for the low hanging fruit first. So we want to make sure that our home or apartment is not that low hanging fruit. Okay, now here's a question. Here's a question for everybody in chat. Have any of you already done home hardening in your houses or apartments? Drop a yes or no. If you want to share the experience, go ahead and put it in chat. Personally, we have hardened every dwelling that we've lived in to some extent or the other. Not quite as much as we should have in the past, and not quite as much as I want to now, but we're working on it. It's a work in progress. Okay, now we're gonna talk about renting versus owning. This is really a huge debated subject in the survival question here. So, in a crisis, what's better, to rent or to own? You know, that this aspect touches on not just shelter, but financial, legal, and practical survival factors. So first thing we're going to do is put the slides back up there so we're not getting lost. First thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about owning our house, whether it's a house in the city or the suburbs. Owning means you have full control. You can harden your home as much as you want, store supplies without landlord restrictions, and even build or modify defensible structures. Ownership also generally means more stability in long-term shelter, which is a big plus for full spectrum survival. There are drawbacks, though. There are drawbacks. So owning comes with property taxes. You're going to be subject to these things. Mortgage payment. Many people have mortgages on their houses, so they're making payments. Maintenance costs. If you own the property, you're going to have to maintain it. You're going to have to do the work, and you're going to have to pay for it. These three things actually can become burdensome during an economic crisis. If you guys owned your house during the downturn, you know, in 2008, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, and here's another thing. If you have a mortgage, foreclosure is always a risk and can leave you extremely vulnerable. You know, and a lot of people don't realize that a bank can foreclose on a loan basically anytime they want. They don't do it because it's not worth the effort when things are going normal, but they can do it. Next one is owning a home in a densely populated area may also make you a target if things, you know, if people see supplies or fortifications at your house. You know, rumors, that's the big one. Densely populated areas, rumors start. People see you bringing stuff in. We're going to talk about that here in a bit. But you know, the rumors will get people talking, and they'll start looking, and they can cause problems. Now, the next one is renting. We're gonna look at renting now. So on the other hand, renting offers flexibility. This is probably the biggest plus about renting a property. You're extremely flexible. You're not tied to the location as much. You know, if the area becomes untenable, you can move without a burden of selling or foreclosing on the property. You do face some serious disadvantages, though. Oftentimes, you can't modify or harden the property extensively. You might be able to do some stuff. Next thing, landlord can evict you, especially in emergencies. If the landlord owns the house or the apartment building and he needs it for his people and not you, guess who's going to be out on the street? It's not going to be his people. And the last one is you got limited control over the neighbors or the building security. You cannot decide who your neighbors are. You really can't decide who your neighbors are if you own your house either. But at least you've got a little space between you. When you're in an apartment building, you're in close proximity and you're up in everybody's up in everybody's business. All right. So the best choice depends on your risk tolerance, financial situation, and community ties. In FSP, it's important to plan for both scenarios. If you rent, consider having a backup bug out location nearby. If you own, prepare your property for long-term defense. Personally, I recommend the owner's focus on home hardening and establishing a strong community ties. It's a critical aspect, and if you've been on the channel for any amount of time, you know this is what we talk about. Okay, let's go back to the chat for a second. So Mississippi Homestead Journey said he added 3-inch screws to his door frame and hinges. He put plywood sheets in front of the sliding glass doors and helps keep out the heat. Oh, I bet it does. That's a pretty decent R factor. And then we've got a question here from Rosie. What if you're a woman in training, aka a latchkey? A nomad in training. I'm sorry, not woman. I don't have my glasses on. I can't see very well. Well, if you're nomad, you're gonna have to go with the flexibility of renting. You're just gonna have to look at your situation and plan accordingly, and make sure that everything you have is extremely portable. You don't want to leave anything behind. Hey, cousin Jody. Glad you can make it. I haven't seen you. I hope you're doing well. All right. Next slide. Okay, this is the big question. This is the one that occupies a lot of bandwidth in the prepper community. Do I stay put or do I bug out? This is a critical survival discussion, because in an urban environment, it's affects you more intently than if you're in a rural environment. And the simple answer to this is there's no one size fit all answer. Seriously, especially in the FSP framework, it's about spectrum thinking. We want to think across the whole broad expanse of that different aspects of survival. We need to weigh our options continuously and be ready to adapt. And I'm going to go back to the home hardening aspect of it too. So the continually evaluating and adapting, you should be doing that all the time. You should be doing audits on your property continuously. Have it set down a time once a month, whatever, and look at what's going on in your property, what's changed, what needs to be modified, what needs to be repaired. All right. So first, let's talk about staying. Okay. So the pros, obviously, you already know your environment, you know your neighbors, and you have supplies. Less risky in terms of travel and exposure. Cons: if your location becomes unsafe due to looting, civil unrest, or infrastructure failure, you could be trapped. Oh, well, you know what? When we talk about bugging out, we'll talk about that aspect of it. Skane says bugging out for her bugging in for her is the thing. Oh, so you reach a point, as far as staying in goes, you reach a point when you don't want to go you don't want to run anymore. And that's where we are. We bugged out. I did not realize this until 2 years after we did it, but we bugged out and landed in this location, and this is where we're staying. We are going to plant our flag here, and this is where we'll do or die. So we are committed. We are committed. And that's the thing about staying, is you have to be committed. All right. Home hardening ties in closely with the staying aspect. Like I said, a fortified home supports the decision to stay. All right. Now let's talk about, going back to the bug out one. Okay. Bugging out. Pros of bugging out. It gives you flexibility to move to a safer location, which is always a plus. Often rural or wilderness areas with fewer threats. You want to get out of the city. All right. You want to get out of the city. Maybe, you know what? Maybe the more I've been thinking about this, segue here, or sidebar. I've been thinking about this. A lot of these videos beg for smaller, shorter, just pre-made videos, pre-recorded videos on the different aspects of each one of these, just like the little nuts and bolts things that make them work for you, and the flexibility to move, knowing how to move, the how to address the cons that I'm getting ready to tell you about. You've got travel risks, uncertain shelter on the road, exposure to the elements, and logistics of moving your family and supplies. If you rent, bugging out might be the best and only option that you have. If you own and have hardened your home, staying obviously makes more sense. Here's a key principle in FSP. Have a bug out plan, even if you intend to stay. Your plan should include routes, caches, transportation options, and safe fallback locations. See, that right there, that's one of those side videos that I was just talking about. During an urban disaster, decisions to stay or bug out must be quick but informed. And sometimes staying for too long without adapting your plan can be dangerous. A balanced approach: harden your shelter as much as possible, build community trust, prepare a bug out bag, and know when to execute your evacuation plan. All right, we're nearing the end, guys. We're in the home stretch now. Wrap up. So, home hardening. It ensures you control and defend your space. It ensures you can control and defend your space. Renting versus owning. These two determine your options and your security level. Obviously, one is going to be better than the other if you can afford it. Staying versus bugging out challenges you to make strategic survival decisions, as these aspects are interlinked and affect your ability to survive, not just physically, but mentally and socially. Shelter isn't just about, you know what? Let's go to that. We got one more. There we go. Shelter isn't just about walls and roofs. It's about control, adaptability, and preparation. It fits squarely in the FSP framework as a key aspect, impacting everything: food, storage, water, shelter, defense, that would be security, and even community dynamics. All right, so I think that's the end. Oh, it's not the end. So it is the end of the topic of shelter, but we're gonna talk about what we're gonna do next time. The next aspect, actually, this slide is wrong. This is from the wrong one. The next aspect of FSP is going to be security, and I put security in front of medical for a reason, and I'll tell you why next week. But it's going to be about security in the urban environment. You know what? I'm just going to take that off there. Since that doesn't have the right information, I'm just going to take it off. But we're going to talk about security next week and how it interlocks and influences all the other aspects of FSP. Listen, if you enjoyed the video and you're not a subscriber, like I said at the beginning, go ahead and think about subscribing. Come join us on this journey towards lifetime free. These are the type of topics that we like talking about. This series actually came about because of viewer suggestions. This is what people wanted to see, so I delved into it, and it's turning out to be an actually really informative thing for me as I develop these things. In fact, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. This has prompted me to start writing a book, and as soon as we're done with the series, as I'm going along, I'm writing each chapter of the book as I'm developing these videos for you guys, and hopefully by the end of the series, I'll have something that I can actually work on and get into a physical format or a PDF, electronic format, and get it out to people that may need it. Like I always say, if you want to help the channel, help yourself. Go down in the links below. We've got the link to the Amazon store that I showed you earlier in the video. We've got the link to the Grumpy Acre store, which is in transition right now. So you might want to contact us via email for availability. Once the heat dies out from the Kansas summer, we're going to get back into freeze drying. So we're going to be able to start doing custom orders for people. Plus, we've got our affiliate links. There's all kinds of affiliate links down there where you can go get a sun oven, a rock pot, a freeze dryer, Jace Medical. You can cover different aspects of the full spectrum preparedness framework. All right. And finally, guys, listen, comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. If you've got any suggestions on the topic of shelter during an urban crisis, go ahead and put it down there. Better yet, if you've got experience of crisis in an urban environment, go ahead and put it down there. Share your experience and let people know what you learned. All right. Probably the most important thing, when you put your head on your pillow tonight, you need to make sure that you've done at least one thing that's made you better off as far as preparedness and survival goes than you woke up this morning. And when you wake up after a good night's sleep, secure in the knowledge that you've done that, you can go out and live a lifetime free tomorrow. Okay, guys? Take care.
Survival isn't just about having the right gear, it's about mindset. In a world without the rule of law, what will you do to survive? WROL isn't just a game, it's a tool to hone your preparedness and survival mindset. Test your instincts, outthink, outlast, and outmaneuver your opponents in a world that's fallen apart. With WROL, every card you play challenges your thinking, tests your adaptability, and sharpens your ability to make tough decisions under pressure. Whether you are planning for an everyday emergency or prepping for the end of the world, WROL helps you prepare for the chaos of everything in between. Ready to level up your survival skills? Click the link in the description to order your deck of WROL cards today and start building your SHTF mindset. The apocalypse starts here.